Hey everybody.
Hi, welcome to the White Hatter YouTube show. We got a lot of really good things to talk about. A lot of things happened this week, and
Things starting to settle down a little bit.
Getting there.
A little bit. Yeah.
Let's get into some updates.
Yeah, sure. What have we been up to the past week?
First update, just so you all know, our app is still out there. It's still free, and it will continue to be free, filled with all kinds of resources, some offering 24/7 help and ways to contact for help. So great app.
I've been noticing in our social media feeds, like on Twitter right now, that it's kind of catching some traction with some people now, right? I'm starting to get other people retweeting this from right across the country in the United States as well. Kind of cool, right? Mm-hmm. It's free. It's not just for Canada, it's for Americans as well, because we got resources for both Canada and the US. And like Brandon said, a lot of these resources allow you to connect with people, most of them 24/7, for everything from eating disorders to anxiety to mental wellness issues to suicidal thoughts and ideations. It's all there, one-stop shop, all free, goes on your phone. Nothing we collect, we sell to any third party whatsoever. So please have a look at it, get on your phone. It's always nice to have those resources in the palm of your hand, right?
Our last Thinkable Thursday with our expert interview series was an interview with Julie Clegg. That is live on YouTube. Link will be in the description. If you haven't seen that yet on our channel, please check it out. We had a great conversation with them.
Great interview. And Julie, she runs Human Eye. She comes from Great Britain, but she now lives in Canada. She's CEO and founder of that company. It's now gone international. She specializes in the area of online investigations. And we just had a really good discussion about what's going on online right now during COVID-19, all the crime that's taking place, what you can do to help prevent it. And then we also talked about how she has become a mentor for other women, because this industry is very male dominated, and she is one of the leaders now. She's also a TV star on The Hunted, the UK version of Hunted, and she's written a really good book as well. But just a great interview. Check it out. It's on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe when you get to our YouTube channel.
Which you're on right now.
Oh, we are. So hit that subscribe button, right?
Our favorite family messaging app, Kinzua, came out with some updates the other day. What are those updates, Darren?
It's Kinzua 2.0, and it's got everything from a doodle platform where kids can now doodle with it. It's added stickers into where the kids can now add stickers into some of the things that they're producing. They've even got it's kind of like a game, but it's a did you know type of game where they ask these, like, did you know that the Leaning Tower of Pizza is blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of cool that way. I made a great recommendation to them. I said, you know what? You should actually poll the kids and the families that follow you to have them come up with questions and send it to you, and you pose out those questions every week. They love the idea. Good. They love the idea. But just a great, another thing on Kinzua, we had a family connect with us from Saskatchewan. They're farmers. And they've noticed an increase in crime, property crime taking place in there. And you got to imagine, like, we were on one of those farms where they're hundreds of acres in size, right? And so they were trying to find a messaging platform that they could use to stay connected as families and the kids, but also to share information about things that may be going on. And I went, I think Kinzua might just work for you, right? So they're actually going to be downloading Kinzua and using it for that purposes. And when I got a hold of Kinzua, I said, hey, another asymmetrical use of your product. And they went, gotta love it, right? Kind of. So it's pretty cool. And again, right now it's free. It's freemiumware. What's freemiumware, Brandon?
It's free to download, free to use. They may later on add some more premium features, but nothing that significantly impacts the user experience.
And they have said, I've spoken directly to the CEO who said, Sean, who we've interviewed. You'll see him on an interview here on YouTube in about 2 weeks from now. He says they'll always keep the messaging component of the platform for free, so you won't have to ever be charged for that. So check it out. Just a really good app. Get away. You know, we get a lot of parents phoning us asking us what about Facebook Kids and what apps and this kind of stuff, and we say, you know what, why even go down that route with these social media companies who are creating digital dossiers on your kids, even though they say they're not, they're doing it, when Kinzua doesn't do that, right? So just a better alternative for families, we believe.
We posed a question to Instagram followers earlier this week about TikTok, where students downloading TikTok without their parents knowing. Now, Darren, why was this a question that was posed?
This was a question posed because I was reading all over the place from boomers, from adults and parents saying that, you know, these kids are downloading this TikTok app and they're not telling any parents, they're all doing it and stuff. And I went, you know, why would you ever want to paint an entire generation with that brush, right? So I said, why don't we ask the kids? That's what we did. We asked our followers. Most of them are teens. Some were adults, but most of them were teens. And they came back and said, 67% of them, 67%, so over 2/3, basically said that no, they asked permission from their parents. And 33%, or about a third, didn't. And that shouldn't surprise us either, right? Because there's always a small percentage that are going to always buck the system, right? And my parents don't know as much as I do, kind of stuff. But, overall, I think it was a really good way to demonstrate how these kids, before they're downloading apps like TikTok and other apps onto their devices, they're seeking parents' permission first. So again, I think we need to be very careful about tarring and feathering a generation with the same brush and saying, well, they're all doing it, none of them are asking. That's not true, right? That is just not true. And that was just a really good way to kind of demonstrate that.
Yeah. Another survey question that we posed on Instagram was in regards to app bombing. And I believe this is because of an article that you read.
Yeah, I read this article put out by another social media expert who said, you know what, these kids right now, what they're doing, these teachers are using these platforms. And so to get around these platforms, the kids are giving bad or reviews, right? Because the thinking is if an app gets enough bad reviews, well, then Google and Apple will remove it from the app from their stores.
Now, where did they get this information from?
Good question, right? Good question. Right. I think it was just one of those. I know what you always go. Show me the evidence, right?
I want the data.
I know, exactly.
Where did the data come from?
So they didn't quote any of it. It was just an opinion that they had. So I said, okay, well, why don't we do our own anecdotal again? Because we got thousands of teens that follow us, right? So I said, okay, we asked the teens that follow us this question, and by far, 86% said no. They're not photo bombing or app bombing these apps.
No, this makes sense. I mean, I'm thinking from a perspective of, okay, let's say you have a teacher who's using Zoom.
Yeah.
You're not going to kick Zoom off the app stores because maybe 30 students voted down.
Yeah, or the Google product, Google Classroom. Well, why would Google want to take their own product off, right?
Maybe if a school has their own proprietary custom app that only the school uses, and then the entire school votes it down. Okay, maybe I can see the app then being kicked off.
I know.
But with like Zoom, Skype, Google Hang, I don't see those apps. People vote those apps down all the time.
But 86% said no, 14% said yes, but that shouldn't surprise us either. Like when I was in middle school, many years ago, right? We had kids doing the same thing by pulling the fire alarms in the school, right? Test is coming up. We don't want to do the test. Yank the fire alarm. And now all of a sudden you're not having to do the test. So it shouldn't surprise us that there's a small percentage of young people out there doing that, right? To say otherwise.
I don't see that doing anything because, with a fire alarm, sure, the entire school has to evacuate the school.
Yeah.
You download the Zoom app and what?
Or Google Class or whatever it is.
Nothing happens.
Right? I know.
Like, what?
But again, I thought it was so important that we kind of got, and again, it's not scientific, it's anecdotal, but it gave us some good insight into what the thousands of young people who follow us say. And I think sometimes we adults are kind of putting out this information based upon our gut and our feelings and stuff, and we fail to ask the kids about their opinion. And their opinions matter. They really do.
Message we received from one student who saw us speak.
Yeah. This message here came from one of our students who heard us speak, and it was her younger sister who got hit with this. And when I dug a little deeper, it turned out that on her settings on her phone, she hadn't set them up so that only friends could connect with her. It was still open, right? So she got bombed with one of these messages, right? And there's no doubt there's more kids online because there's more kids online. Wherever kids hang out, they're going to be those like this troll here who want to prey upon young ones for whatever reasons, right? So again, I think this is just a really good reminder for both teens and parents that a lot of we say this a lot. It's not the app; it's how you use the app that becomes important to understand from a safety and security standpoint. It's a really good reminder for all of us that we should be going into our apps and our social media platforms and make sure we're turning on the privacy settings if they have them, so that communications only happen between people who you know. When I say know, I mean face-to-face kind of or that you trust rather than having them open to the world. Because if you have it open to the world, anybody can send you anything. Yeah, just a reminder.
two interesting resources for schools, both for teachers and for students that you came across.
Yeah, I think these are really cool because a lot of schools now we moved to digital, right, to distant learning and stuff. But they were also doing this in schools as well. As you know, when you play YouTube, you get pop-ups, you get comments, you get advertisements and stuff. And these two free sites allow you to download these videos off of YouTube.
Is it download or did they just like stream it differently?
I think it's both, right? It's both. And they're both free, which is kind of cool. And one has a premium version if you want it. But what it does is it scrubs all the comments, all the advertisements. So all you see is the basic video, right? Which I think, again, is really cool because the worst thing you want to do is be playing a video in front of a group of youngins and all of a sudden, boop, this advertisement comes up for an adult product that maybe you don't want them to see.
Or
right?
maybe if you're a student and you're screen sharing your screen to show the class for a project you're doing, and here's a YouTube video, people see your suggested videos. Why were you suggested that particular video on the corner there?
Yeah, why is Pornhub on there?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I mean, I don't think YouTube actually has that.
I know, but still.
But I mean, like, I've seen some interesting sponsored videos on YouTube before. Yeah,
Me too.
Interesting way for educators and for students.
And parents, right?
And parents, if you're screen sharing or sharing your screen of what you're seeing on YouTube, maybe not use your personal account that you logged into.
Yeah.
Use this to show the video instead.
Yeah, and they're both free. I think we'll have those in the comments below, right? And for those of you who are watching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel right now.
Talk about some news.
Yeah. In the news.
Interesting news stories this week. First one has to do with the iOS mail app exploit. And what this one's all about is this dates back all the way to 2012. The issue in the code has existed since then, but researchers in the last little bit determined that it was being exploited in January 2018. And what this exploit is there was a flaw in the code of the mail app on the iPhone or iPad.
And what did
iOS.
it do?
It allowed an attacker to have access to emails to read, edit, and delete them.
Really?
Yeah.
So who did he suspect was using it? Like state sponsored?
It's supposedly it's alleged to be state sponsored.
That would make sense. Right?
And it looks like attacks from evidence that was collected by researchers, people in Fortune 500 organizations, executives.
Maybe that was more for corporate espionage.
Perhaps as well.
Yeah.
A VIP from Germany, a managed security provider, and a journalist in Europe. Those are some of the evidence that was seen. Apple has, obviously was released to Apple and they fixed the issue.
They're pretty good at that, right?
But that being said, you haven't updated your phone, then
I've updated my phone.
That's good.
I'm good.
Although if you have a regular, I think it's iPhone 6 now, that phone no longer is supported by Apple.
No.
So that phone will still have the vulnerability because it's never been updated.
And
will no longer get the updates.
Yeah, just be aware of it.
Again, for the average person, probably not a big issue. But if you're running a Fortune 500 company, you probably want to update your phone.
And it just goes to show you again that no matter how secure a company or device may be, there may always be vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we keep stressing everybody that everything we do online is public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and sometimes for sale.
Yeah.
Right? For sure.
People think their phone or their iPhone is impenetrable. There's no issues with it.
It's safer.
In fact, any device can have an issue and it can leak data.
Yeah, especially with all the code that goes into if some coder misses a piece of code, you have a vulnerability.
Yeah,
right?
it's usually human error.
Yeah.
More phishing attacks were.
When you say phishing, what do you mean?
Bad actors, hackers, are trying to convince people to provide their usernames and passwords to a seemingly legitimate website when in fact it's malicious. Good example, Skype. This story kind of cropped up in the security industry this week, talking about how Skype, again, another video conferencing platform, people are sending out black hat hackers, sending out pretty convincing phishing emails to Skype users, which is sometimes attached to your Microsoft account to get their username and password to log in when in fact it's not.
And of course, they're targeting those platforms that are being widely used during COVID-19, right? All these video conferencing platforms.
We saw Zoom previous weeks, and now we're seeing Skype this week.
Right, for sure, it'll happen to the other ones as well, right? Because once one tightens things up and blocks those vulnerabilities, they'll just go after another platform.
Or people are switching to Skype, and people are seeing that because people don't want to use Zoom.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that could be a reason as well.
Do you see that Facebook just recently have now increased the number of video chats they can have on their platform?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because they were losing market share, right? So they thought, well, why should I be losing market share to Zoom and to these other platforms when we can do the same thing?
Ding, 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 ding. Let the battle continue.
I know, it's like a cat and mouse game, right? So I mean, to a degree, competition is healthy. It's just, my question is, would I rather have Blue Jeans do it or Facebook do it? Well, I'd probably use Blue Jeans over Facebook. That's just me personally. But anyways, it was interesting, right? For sure. What's the next one you got?
Next one, data breach.
Another one.
This one is from a exercise app, primarily based in France. And this is an app that allows you to kind of, it gives you videos of workouts and you follow along kind of thing. And it's mapped out like through Google Street Maps. You can kind of ride along in this video environment. Data breach, pretty significant one. No passwords, but there was other things leaked. So basically, users, so the entire database was open on the internet.
Really?
And what researchers were able to find...
The entire database?
I know, right? Researchers were able to find full names, home countries, email addresses, usernames of account users, genders, timestamps of exercises, and the date they joined the app. And an example was right there on the side.
So no password.
No password, so that's great.
But that information there is enough to socially engineer somebody maybe for potential of identity theft, right?
Yeah. And so it's data. It's data about you that could then potentially be used. And it's data most people don't have access to.
Or I could pretend to be you using your email because I have your password and send you a message and you now think it's me when in fact it's not me, it's somebody else.
Well, you would have to get the password elsewhere.
Okay.
But maybe in a different data breach.
There you go.
I mean, the thing right now is that like all these black hat hackers are like going all these data breaches and collecting all this data and then building a general profile of someone.
Gotcha.
Because all these data breaches just reveal more information about someone.
Gotcha.
Interesting thing about the timeline of this breach. So VPN Monitor, the app that found the breach with their researchers, they found it. They sent a message to the app company. They didn't hear a response. Bad response. So then the researchers went to France's independent data privacy regulator.
Oh well.
And days after that, the hole in the database was closed.
Go figure. You know, here's a really good example where a company does the right thing, and rather than releasing it publicly, they go to the company and say, hey, just to let you know, we found an exploit that you might want to block up, and the company basically blows them off, doesn't do anything about it, right? So what do you do next? Well, at least this company did the right thing, and they went to the legislative, the people who have oversight, right?
Yes.
In the country to have them deal with it, and then they can put the political pressure on the company to deal with it, which in fact it did. But the moral of the story is if somebody connects with you and lets you know that you have a data breach and it hasn't gone public yet, fix it and let them know you fixed it and say thank you. In fact, aren't there companies out there right now that kind of do bounties like this? Like if you Apple does, right?
Like any of the big name companies, like there are good white hat hackers out there who make their living by going after these bounties, like the Wild West, right?
Yeah.
And they find issues, and instead of going to the press or government or releasing publicly online, tell the company first, and they will pay you however much of a severity you found, and
yeah, I think there was one not too long ago that Apple apparently paid out just over $100,000 to a young person who found a zero-day exploit. Yeah. Right? Kind of cool.
They found a zero-day that affects all users, and you tell Apple first. Apple want to help all their users, and not let that go wild.
That's called good business.
Yeah.
That's called being good business, right?
Yeah.
So, interesting.
And people make their living off of finding bounties. Yeah. And that's a thing. So, and we've actually seen some companies where researchers have told them, hey, you have a data issue. There's something open on the internet. And then companies respond back to that researcher going, we're going to sue you now for hacking us.
Yeah, go figure, right?
And here's the thing. If you have data on your networks, and it's publicly accessible on the internet, and someone finds it by going to the white web address, it's not a hack.
Yeah.
It's you put it out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So
just do your corporate due diligence, right? If somebody connects with you and says that they identified an exploit or some way that people can breach, do your due diligence and make sure it is in fact true. And then once you find it, fix it. And then best practices would be, hey, Brandon, I want to thank you for bringing that to my attention. I want to show you my appreciation. So here's a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Speaking of France, the France government, according to Bloomberg, has asked Apple to loosen their Bluetooth security policies on phones in order for the government to develop a tracking app through COVID. Kind of what like China does. So other countries want to do the same thing. Now, apparently, here's the interesting twist, though.
Yeah.
And we reported on this a couple weeks ago, where Apple and Google are building their own, supposedly,
That's why I'm laughing right now.
virus tracking app. So
what they want to do is they want to block out the competition. That's what they're doing here, right? Like,
I mean,
Google and Apple, who are working together to get this app to help track COVID, they want to corner the market on their own platform. So, of course, they don't want third parties to come in and take some of the pie away from them, right? That's the reason why that's happening. Now,
but at the same time, I mean, Apple is using the stance of security, right? They can't loosen it because then you could see bad actors.
yeah, but what if the third-party app meets their criteria?
What if it's a government kind of thing? Right?
Well, again, I think you said this to me earlier. Who would you rather trust, the government or Apple? Sometimes I say neither, right? Depending upon the government. But it's interesting. We kind of saw this with third-party monitoring apps that were going on in the Apple Store. So a lot of them were getting kicked out. Why? Because Apple all of a sudden had its own monitoring, their own system now that they built into their mobile platform. So of course they want people using that, not using third-party vendors, right? So, and it's one of those things where, to a degree, I think the U.S. government is looking at these big companies and going, are they getting so big now that they're actually stopping competition from smaller players, right? Which I understand that, right? Or what these companies are doing is going, oh, Brandon, you've got this app that allows you to track a virus. You know what? Here's $2 million. Let me purchase your company from you so that, again, you don't become my competition, right? So, again, there's...
But then again, $2 million sounds nice to me.
I know,
See the incentive?
I do. But will we get to the point now where these companies get so big that mom and pop companies that can offer a product at a cheaper price to make a little bit of a living can no longer compete?
Potentially. I mean, reports are showing, just read a report today on how Apple in their next MacBook lineup, it's rumored that supposedly Apple is going to be putting in its own custom CPU processing chip. Kind of what they do with the iPhone and iPad. They don't buy it from someone else. So right now on like my MacBook here, it's an Intel based. So Mac pays Intel to, I want to buy your processor to put in this computer. Supposedly, rumors are saying that Apple is going to cut Intel out and AMD just to put their own proprietary chip in there.
Ooh, that'll be a big hit to Intel AMD then, right?
Well,
by the way, hey, what are your thoughts? I saw the new iPad Pro that has just come out with the new smart keyboard. Have you seen this thing?
I've seen reports. Yeah,
Pretty cool.
it's cool. I mean, I think the keyboard is like almost as expensive as the iPad itself.
Is it?
It's pretty expensive.
Okay. Well, I was kind of going, ooh, I kind of like that. Maybe when my MacBook Pro bites the dust, I might buy that instead. I don't know.
No, because of what you do on your MacBook, you need the control of Mac OS.
What are you trying to say? I don't have control?
No, in that iOS doesn't give you a lot of user features.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have as much customizability to do certain things.
That's true.
You're limited into iOS.
I know. I mean, I have an iPad now, and I use it for certain things. I use my MacBook Pro, as you know, mostly for the presentations I do and designing and stuff. And it doesn't seem like it is as although it's simple on the iPad too, where it's just doing this and just moving things around via touch. It'll be interesting.
Maybe just go to use a MacBook Air next time.
Yeah, maybe. I kind of like the iPad.
But then again, you like the 16-inch screen.
I do. I got old eyes.
15-inch.
I got the old eyes, right?
Yeah.
I need the big font, not like you youngins, right? I'm just saying, just keep laughing. You'll be a boomer one day too. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Boomer's a generational thing, not a
Well, okay. Well, what are they going to call you when you get older then?
I'll still be millennial.
All right.
But then whatever generation is young then.
But isn't I find that kids today call old people boomers. It doesn't matter. Like I know young kids that would call you a boomer.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it seems to be a tag that's tagged to just people who are older than they are. Yeah. Not so much generational based, but more age based. How's that?
Yeah, it's morphed to be kind of just age based.
Yeah,
but I think we'll
agree.
see that kind of phase out.
We'll see.
Last story. Another kind of a data breach-ish type thing. So some researchers found online
309 million?
Facebook users' phone numbers and other information in a
my
database.
God.
Now, it's to still be determined if this is a new collection of data or if this is an amalgamation of other breaches Facebook's had in the past. But basically, this was a database, one single database of 309 million Facebook users' data, mostly phone numbers, user IDs, and full names. And it was selling for $540 US, which is about 0.00002 cents per record.
Oh my God.
That's what you're worth.
Wow. That's 309 million.
Yeah.
I noticed here on the picture on the left though, there's no password there either. Right?
Yeah. So no passwords, thankfully. But that being said, I mean, people, all the time. I've heard people ask, "Why do I get these spam phone calls?" You want to know why? Reasons like this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're collecting and then getting those phone numbers and selling. I had a call the other day. It showed up on my phone, South Africa.
Oh.
I didn't take the call. Maybe I should have. No, I don't think so. But you're right. I mean, that's how a lot of these numbers will then get sold online, right?
Yeah.
So
just things to look for. I mean, as more people are spending time online, working online, enjoying themselves online nowadays, I think we need to be even more aware and vigilant to data breaches, the things we sign up for, and how we use our data.
Thinking about having fun online, you got me Steam for my birthday. My birthday gift, you got me the Steam platform to use.
Yes.
And I've downloaded, or you helped me download, the World of Warships.
Yes.
Oh yeah, ooga, ooga, battle stations. I've been having a good time.
Good.
Yeah, I've been having a good time on that. And you know what? This week too, we did a number of video interviews that we've scheduled over the next couple of weeks. And this week coming up, we've got a high school teacher and a high school counselor that we spoke to.
Yes.
On what's going on in the schools right now and what are some of the challenges that they're facing, some of the things they've seen, some of the positive things they're seeing as well. Just of all the interviews I've done thus far, I've enjoyed every one of them, but that one with the teacher and the school counselor was just great. It was just a really good interview. They're very good friends. They teach at the same school here in British Columbia, and I kind of at the end of that one, I called them the dynamic duo.
Yes.
It was amazing the way that they were able to interact and kind of dovetail with one another what it is that they were doing. So that was pretty cool.
And that video is scheduled to go out on Thursday.
On Thursday, yeah.
So,
think about Thursdays.
Subscribe to the channel, and you'll get a notification for when that video is live.
And then this week you're also going to be demoing some new programs because we're getting ready to do some webinars.
Yes, so more details to come for that, but we'll let you all know on our webpage, thewhitehatter.ca, where you will stay updated on all the new happenings and programs we are offering virtually.
Yeah, I'm really excited, right? So, I mean, you've been planning for this for the past 2 years since you got this White Hatter Studio thing going on, right? So
the original plan was launching these things in September this year, but things got pushed a little early because of obvious reasons.
I mean, good show today. Quick and dirty. I kind of like this format. I really do. I said that last week, where it's just, boom, 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 boom. Bring up the things that we've learned the week before, things that we've shared and done, and just a really good show.
Yeah.
So, until next time, I'm Darren.
Brandon. Bye, everyone.
See ya. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. See ya. Bye.
Bye.